Joining us now is Democratic strategist Rob Zimmerman and Republican strategist Dan Bartlett, a former counselor to President George W. Bush. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Harry.
Dan and Rob. Dan, this one goes to you first. If you were going to give a mid-semester grade, and this may be the longest semester of all time, if you're going to give a grade so far to how the president is doing from a political standpoint with this mess in the Gulf, what would you give him?
Well, I think, Harry, anything above maybe a C- would be difficult to score. And the main reason is when you're in the White House, Harry, and you're a president, you really want to be shaping public opinion, not responding to public opinion. And what you're seeing is a White House scrambling to try to get ahead of a story that got, as you know and as you just said, several weeks ago is when they should have given this speech to the American people. The actions they're taking now, meeting with BP, demonstrating the type of leadership people expect during a crisis, that should have happened, like I said, a couple of weeks ago. So they're now trying to get ahead of the curve, and it's going to be very difficult to do so. So a lot of opinions have been formed. The partisanship is now entered. So the White House finds it in a very difficult position, but C- C would be the best I could do.
Gentlemen, C, we've heard that before. Rob Zimmerman.
Harry, yes. I'd have to agree with Dan. I'd give him a C on this. I C at this point. But I'd also point out, contrary to perhaps Dan's best political hopes, that the mission has just begun. The speech we didn't hear yesterday when President Obama and his administration addressed and took on the officials of British Petroleum really pushed the restart button on this entire process. And I think we saw the president yesterday seize control of this issue and take the leadership that, granted, should have happened weeks ago, but now it has begun. And the real test will be how aggressively the administration follows up.
Right.
Harry,
go ahead, Dan.
Well, real interesting point, though. The strategic bet that the White House is making is that this jump into a bigger, broader policy debate on energy is that the timing is right on that. Right now, the public is questioning the competence of government, that they can handle this crisis. So in the middle of that, very much like last year, we're in the middle of the financial crisis, and they decided to jump into a health care debate.
Right.
They're doing the same thing here, where they're trying to jump into an energy debate.
Because you have to confess, okay, so 2 nights ago, this speech happens. Right. At the end of the speech, he says, well, now it's time for us to really think about energy policy, because, and this is a perfect jumping off point. Was that, as you watched, were you thinking, boy, that's a good idea, or were you thinking, not now, not now?
Well, Harry, it was a different take. It was about not thinking about energy policy, it was about acting on energy policy. And I think clearly, without question, helping the people of the Gulf become whole again and leading that effort is critical. Cleaning the area is absolutely essential. But unless we, in fact, put in place an aggressive energy policy, we run the risk of this tragedy happening all over again.
That goes without saying, but from a political standpoint, it's not as if he's saying, okay, I've solved all the problems, I've got the bully pulpit, I've got the momentum, now's the time to jump on this.
Harry, we can't begin to solve all of the problems until we put in a cap on greenhouse gas emissions and put in a new energy policy. You know, Dan wants to rely, and his party wants to rely upon government to do all the work. Dan, I would say to you, that's right, Dan, I would say to you, capitalism is the new progressive tradition. Let's open up the free marketplace. Let's, in fact, create new technologies and green jobs.
Go ahead, Dan. Yeah, go ahead, Dan. I like it.
Rob makes a point that the president failed to make himself about capping greenhouse gas emissions because he understands the politics of it. This speech should not have been given in the Oval Office. He should have given this speech from the region, demonstrating that they know what they're doing to shut this thing down, to get the recovery underway. There is a time and place for a policy debate. I'm not arguing with the fact that we need a new national energy policy, but timing is critical, and the politics are not where they should be for this president to try to push a controversial energy package like he's attempting to do.
There'll be plenty of time to burn the midnight oil on this one. Sorry. Dan Bartlett, Rob Zimmerman, thank you both very, very much.
Good to be with you. Good to be with you, Dan.
All right, Erica.